Hello, lab experts, and welcome to the Diagnostics podcast, the podcast where we discuss everything medical laboratory science in Africa and around the world. In today's episode, we sit down with a researcher, health enthusiast, and medical laboratory scientist. His name is Jesse Buba. Jesse Buba is from Chibok, Nigeria, graduated from the University of Maiduguri, and has experience working with the WHO.
Coupled with the fact that most people are always having that target in their head. Once they are done with school, they move to the hospital, get a private clinic, and settle for bench work. Myself and other colleagues saw there's a need for people to actually diversify in other fields, not only staying or being stagnant on the bench work.
In today's episode, we discuss career opportunities for medical laboratory scientists. Hello, lab experts. Once again, welcome to the Diagnostics podcast. As I said before the short intro, today we're here with Jesse Buba. How are you doing, Jesse?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm fine too. I'm really fine. So we want to talk today about career advancements for medical laboratory scientists. Before we get into that, can you tell us a little bit about how you got interested in this particular subject?
Though you've introduced me already, I would like to say I'll just give a short introduction about myself. I'm Romeo Jesse from Nigeria, Chibok local government. I know maybe most of you must have heard about Chibok girls, the time that they were kidnapped. So I'm actually from that particular locality.
Yeah.
And I was actually interested in MLS right from when I finished my secondary school. So having come in contact with some senior colleagues that said we need to study medical laboratory science, I actually found it very interesting then. So later on, I got to understand that MLS is not just limited to bench work. At some point, I was able to get a lot of ideas, a lot of things that exposes me to the field of a medical laboratory. That interested me a lot on that, and coupled with the fact that most people are always having that target in their head. Once they are done with school, they move to the hospital, get a private clinic, and settle for bench work. Myself and other colleagues saw there's a need for people to actually diversify in other fields, not only staying or being stagnant on the bench work, but also trying to diversify in other fields that we are supposed to be doing the job while we are allow others to do the job on our behalf. So I think that was my point of interest, and that was what prompted me to talk about this subject.
So you brought up an interesting point that medical laboratory science is not just limited to bench work, and there are other fields we should be involved in. What are some of those other fields?
Now, there are lots of them, like lots of them. Once you go online, you can maybe fetch out of a few, but there are actually lots of them. Now, first of all, we can, aside the hospital, that's the bench work, we can also go into the research aspect. Now, talking about the research department or the research aspect where a medical laboratory scientist can work has to do with a lot of things. Now, I was privileged to be part of a team recruited by the World Health Organization in combating polio in Africa. So I was actually privileged to work with that team. I was recruited as a research intern to work on polio virus and try to take out analysis and everything. It has to do with molecular level and also other research aspect of the project. Through research, and a medical laboratory scientist can actually advance his or her own career in that aspect. We have various research laboratories in the world. It all depends on which you want to go in. You want to go on chemical research. There are just quite many that for now I cannot actually mention them, but I was actually privileged to work in one of the research labs, which I feel is actually a place that the medical laboratory scientist should also look into after for intending to advance his or her own career.
Aside from research, what other fields do we get into?
All right. So we also have the forensic science. I know maybe most of us have heard about it. We have also the forensic science. Now, most of the people in Africa, I don't know for your own country, but for my place in Nigeria, once you hear about police, people don't like to join the police force. I don't know why, but the police force in the European country is quite different from the ones we are having in Africa. Because when you see the police department abroad in America, the way they are well structured, the way they handle things is quite different from the way we are handling things here in Africa. But we believe that things will actually work out for good in some time.
Yeah.
So the forensic scientist also has a role to play. Part of it has to do with research anyway. They're trying to dictate some criminal side of it, try to see how we can be able to get evidence, take out analysis of samples, autopsies, and what have you. Now, a medical laboratory scientist to also plan on or have that mindset that he or she can also work in a forensic department wherever you are or whatever organization that has that particular department. A medical laboratory scientist should know that he or she can actually work in that department. Now, just that I'm trying to list out, I've listed out many, and I'll always have example to give out for every one that I'm just saying. Now, one of my senior colleague, currently he's doing his master's in UK on forensic science and something and research, I think so. He has understood that okay, there is a need for a medical laboratory scientist to go into forensic science.
Yeah.
Now he has taken up that bold step. Currently he's in UK, and part of the advantages he has been having is he has gotten few offers even before he's done with his masters.
Offers were in what country? Now, assuming there are some people who are there some offers of that nature in, let's say, a country like Nigeria? Do you have any idea?
Okay, no, we don't offer forensic science here.
Okay, I
Yes.
see. Now, going
That, I
back,
think that's
no, continue. I wanted to go back to the research, but continue first.
all right. So I said that's why part of it is I think we have little limitation here in Africa because of some of the things we are used to seeing, and sometimes I blame it on our government. They always like giving out things that are not really necessary. And once you have to bring it up for advancement in the health sector, there's always this rivalry that comes in the Ministry of Health, doctors, lab scientists. I don't know whether it is same in your own country, but
I don't know why, but it looks like it's the same everywhere in each and every
everywhere.
country
So
you go.
yes, but I think it's more common in Africa than people out there in Europe.
Yeah, I think it's more, a bit less common in more advanced,
Advanced
technologically
countries.
advanced countries. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
things tend to be a lot more structured, and so you come in, you know what your role is, what you're supposed
That's
to
right.
do. No one can come and then tell you that's not what you're supposed to do because that's what
Yeah.
you were brought in for. Now, countries, because things are a little less structured, you may not know exactly what your role is, partly because one thing may be that there aren't enough people to do the job. And so, although you know what your role is, because there aren't enough people, you may be asked to go and do this or go and do that. So it muddles things up. And so other people can also come in and then say, okay, this part is something that you are not supposed to do, even though you know that that's where you're supposed to be.
You're supposed to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And that has actually limited us. And that's why most times we see ourselves as only the bench work that we're meant to do. Whereas there is more to that in the field of the medical lab.
And I think at some level, yeah, there's a lot to do. But I think at some level, it's also has a little bit to do with the way we are taught when we are in university. Because all we
Sure.
tend to be taught is what has to do with the bench work. Even
That's true.
management, leadership, that's not stuff people go into necessarily.
That's true.
Or laboratory information management systems that could help us be more efficient. That's not really stuff that people would go into. Or even public health, discussing a little bit how we could be involved in public health. That's not something people go into. And so I think because when you are studying and then you see your lecturers and then all they talk to you about is bench work, by the time you come out, you think that all you can really do is bench work, when in reality, you could spread out and then go into different fields.
That's absolutely true. I think the system this restructuring has to start from our school, our curriculum. There should be a course on its own. Though we have ethics and other managerial courses. I think I remember then was it in level 300, we had one course like that was trying to expose us to career opportunities, but they didn't actually go deep into it. It was just very and everything went out. So I think the effect should start from school.
Yeah.
There should be a bit of a structuring in that aspect where you'll be taught on research departments, you'll be taught on forensic department. We can as well go into the veterinary aspect of research, and also we can, that is a bench work on its own, but it's a different thing entirely. Now, this is not a human hospital, it's now an animal hospital, you get. And most laboratory scientists are actually needed in a veterinary clinic, though it still boils down to the culture of Africa. We sometimes don't value animals. That's why the veterinary doctors are not actually valued here in our country or in Africa. Once we have an animal that is sick, we prefer to kill it off to eat as meat than taking it to the veterinary clinic for them to be diagnosed. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, medical laboratory scientists actually earn a lot in a veterinary clinic than even in the hospital setting. I've
Yeah.
seen a couple of people that I checked their salary here in Nigeria, weighing it with the one we have in government hospitals, that they're actually far different.
Yeah.
We call them big boys in an animal department.
Yeah.
So the veterinary clinic or institute should also be another opportunity for a medical laboratory scientist. Part of our CVs when we are out, where we are looking for job, we should also try to send it to veterinary institutes, veterinary clinic, veterinary research departments. That will also give us an edge, and also that will give us much diversification in our own field, where we can have people in various.
Yeah, that's one thing we forget a lot about the veterinary aspect. But I think
Yeah.
one of the reasons why those that are there will be getting paid much more is because there's more demand, less supply. So there are less people that go in there.
Yeah,
So of course they have a lot more work to do, and they'll be a
work
lot
to
more
do.
valuable. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. In addition to that, we also have the biomedical engineering.
Yeah.
Now, though we have biomedical engineering as a course, I'm not looking at it from the course, not looking at it now from a point of repair and installation of this machine. So there's this particular company I was privileged to talk with, one of their staff, Agape. They're into supply of chemistry equipment, mostly for chemical pathology departments. One of them met me then when I was doing my internship. He was like, please, I would like you to join the biomedical aspect of this your profession. He said he won't lie to me. He studied chemistry, but my colleagues in his own department are being paid higher than him, and there are lots of opportunities because we were taught the principle behind every of these tests that is being done in the lab, and we know how the machines work. So if we are going to be taught few things like installation of this machine, what actually caused the problem, blah blah, it may not actually be difficult for us to assimilate because we already have the basic knowledge. But he said them, they just came into it, they were just trained as robots. They are doing it, but they don't know why they are doing it that way. So I picked interest in that. Thank God to one of my friends who, after the internship, decided, okay, I want to go into that. And man, the guy is actually a big boy. He's actually, I can't aim up to him. I can't boast of saying I'm collecting more or half of what he's getting because he owns a company car. He has a company house, and he's the one in charge of 3 states. In case of any machine problem or damage, he will be the one to attend to. He's a medical lab scientist.
Yeah.
And how can you go into that? Here in Nigeria, what you need to do is just to apply as an intern. They will train you for 1 year.
Mhm.
Some may train you for 8 to 10 months. Once you are done, they will assign you to any region they want. So you will be their regional staff. It may
Okay.
not be one person. You can have different people, different companies, because most of these hospitals actually use this equipment, and these equipment tend to fail on a daily basis, monthly basis, that sometimes you go for repair, for installations. And so
Yeah.
that aspect is actually, at some point, I'm trying to let me leave my public
Branch there.
health dream. Let me just divert towards that, because if I'm actually I'm going for money, I think that's where I should be
Yeah.
treating my mind. So that's another aspect in the medical laboratory science as well.
Yeah, we do really need that because there are lots of places where even smaller laboratories where they have problems with some of these machines and they don't know what to do. And then you might have to pay millions for someone to come from outside of the country. So you have to pay for his air ticket. Then he comes in, you pay for his
Yeah,
accommodation, his hotel, and then you pay him to repair your equipment. Then you pay him to go back to his country. And so it's
good.
something
I think
that's,
I when I was working with the WHO, like I earlier told you earlier, the biosafety cabinet was actually working. But you know how WHO do? They always operate on standard. They service it every 6 months.
yeah,
So a biomedical engineer was invited. He was a lab scientist. He was invited from Kenya to come to service the machine.
yeah.
Just my coordinator had to give me tips on how they spend on that particular person. The guy came in. They paid his from Kenya down to Nigeria, down to Maiduguri precisely. He came in. His workmanship in Nigeria, okay, in dollars now, was about $600. This
Mhm.
guy spent an hour in the lab, and what he did was not up to 30 minutes. Just look at that. So you pay my tea fare from a different country. I came in. Did I say $600?
Yes, you said 600.
No. 1.6. That's $1,600.
Ah,
Sorry,
all
not
right.
600. Yes,
Oh,
one thousand six hundred
even
dollar.
better.
Yes, better, not $600. So I was like, wow. So this guy just came in, spent 30 minutes just to blow off some dust from this machine and got his money and left. So I think that aspect, I'm not saying our people, our colleagues should venture into that sector because of money, though.
Okay.
But since there are no hands, we don't have too much hands over there, we can as well consider that instead of us jump packing the health sector, the hospital
Yeah,
aspect, trying to compete amongst ourselves, that's why we're not actually being paid well,
exactly. Yeah.
because all of we're trying to go into a particular place and we're leaving other places vacant, which they actually do better and they actually pay well. So
Yeah.
I think we should also consider that as well.
Yeah, you're right. One of the problems is there are lots of people in this field and there's a lot of competition to the extent that some people go into medical laboratory science, finish, and then end up working in something entirely different, maybe in a bank or somewhere
Yeah,
else. And
yeah,
so
that's
has a
actually
lot to do with the competition and with the number of people that are actually getting into the field. But you said earlier that it might be expensive for people to get into the biomedical technician aspect. Why do you say that? Is it the courses to be able to learn that are expensive or?
okay. No, it's not actually like expensive per se, because there are professional courses you may actually take.
Mhm.
Now, if you want to be a certified biomedical engineer, you may likely take a diploma course,
Okay.
understand? But if you just want to be to work with a company that will just be installing machines and servicing their machine as well, you don't need any course. It's not expensive. It's actually free. Just
Okay.
for you to apply. Just for you to apply. Like I'm just trying to tell you practically here in Nigeria. You just
Mhm.
apply to that company. They may likely call you up for an interview.
Yeah.
Go for the interview, pass it out. They will take you as an intern. Now they will be paying you while they are teaching you.
Okay.
You'll still be going out for practical installations with senior colleagues.
Yeah.
Until then, when you are certified that okay, you can handle this machine, you can install this machine,
Mhm.
then that's when you'll be assigned to a particular region where you control and do whatsoever the.
I see. So yeah, these
So it's
are
not.
opportunities that we should probably more of us probably need to get into. I think the hard aspect is being able to convey the information that there are all those opportunities available. Well, hopefully the podcast here is going to help a bit, but what are some ways to be able to share this information with a lot more people so that they know what's available out there?
First of all, we start. Sometimes I blame us as scientists. You go to a hospital, a patient may not know the difference between a doctor and a scientist.
Yeah.
What a patient has in his own her own head is a doctor and a nurse. Understand? And
Yeah.
some of us prefer they call us doctors and we are happy. I don't know. That's weird. Yeah, you are not a doctor.
Nope.
You are supposed to be happy as a scientist. You understand? So first of all, we have to start correcting this from the scratch. We are not doctors. We are medical laboratory scientists.
Yeah.
So we as well be promoting our titles wherever we go to. It will be very difficult for you to be a doctor during maybe his marriage card or any office title without seeing that doctor in front of his name. But I don't know for scientists, we have, I don't know, I can't actually say where the problem is, but we hardly put scientists in front of our name. Whether we are not so sure that we're scientists or no, I don't know. But if we can actually do that, that will also advance us in that aspect. Will also popularize our field. You understand? Now,
Yeah.
somebody will actually be curious, someone that has not known what the acronym means. You may be like, who is this person that will tell you, okay, this is a scientist. What scientist? A medical laboratory scientist, works in the hospital. This is what he or she does in the hospital. We say, oh, they are called. You see, from that we have already won one
Exactly.
soul that has known who a medical laboratory scientist is.
Yeah.
You get. So
Mhm.
I think the publicity has to start from us. We need to start adding that title to our own names, where in every paper, in every form that we sign, that should actually go there. Now, secondly, is through programs that there's this organization, MedLab Convo. I think they are actually doing well. They
Yeah, I've been
try by
seeing them
all,
online on LinkedIn.
yeah. So they've actually been doing well in that aspect, promoting the medical laboratory science field to virtually every country in Africa. They are actually trying. Now, they've taken it upon themselves that they will ensure that every individual in Africa is aware of the profession medical laboratory.
Yeah.
So that actually will also help to promote the field of a medical lab.
I don't know. Personally, I've always wondered because I think that's something that our national organizations also should be able to help with. But I don't know. For some reason, I feel like they aren't really as interested in that. I never really understood why, but like lobbying, going and then talking to politicians, trying to see whether, I mean, not even just talking to politicians, talking just to medical laboratory scientists and then organizing meetings to try and figure out, okay, what are prices that are being, what are salaries of medical laboratory scientists? Should those be standardized? Should those be harmonized? Like what you're talking about, should we now, in front of our names, be able to put some sort of title that people know what we do? But for some reason, it's almost like they aren't really interested in all of that. When according to me, that should be their primary purpose, really.
That's what at least they are supposed to do as an organization. Instead of all this monetary aspect of license, and that is actually good to support the organization. But there is more to that. There
Yeah.
are things they need to do. There are fights they need to fight for the profession itself. You get there are. So I think sometimes the medical laboratory organizations all over the country should try by all means to engage themselves in TV like advertisement, but engage themselves in TV, let's say commentary or what. There should be a particular program where we'll have for medical laboratory science, where there will be exposition on it. Let's say maybe if we can even go in from our start from our local television authority, wherever we are, there should be a sense of okay, this this is a medical laboratory science program, maybe an hour program on television or on radio or online. At least that will actually give us a good publicity.
Yeah.
You get. So even if for them to just come and be talking about SOPs or try to talk about the tests they should do, it's actually going to be helpful. I recently, or after the pandemic, a lot of people have been talking about the coronavirus and everything. It should not be allowed for doctors to just go in or on television and talk about it. This is our own field. We work with these viruses in the labs. We know more about the viruses than any other person. So I
Yeah.
feel even if they will not call us for that expository essay about coronavirus, we should as well pay money to talk about it. You
Yeah.
understand? That will actually give us publicity, and that will also give us an official kind of regard by the society.
Yeah, I think that you're right. You're definitely right. That's something we don't do enough of. Like actually going out there to talk about what we do in the labs and how we could help in general with the health of the population. In most cases, what you'll see is doctors on television. You don't really ever see medical laboratory scientists. Or maybe it's because also medical laboratory scientists tend to like, how do I put it, don't necessarily like being in public for the most part.
We sometimes shy away from responsibilities. I don't know why. I think that will bring me to the last two opportunities. I don't know if we still have time for me
Yeah.
to talk about
Yeah.
them.
Mm.
Okay. I think if a medical laboratory scientist, like for myself, I know I may not actually get any political position. I may just try to do one thing. Maybe since Nigeria will be having their election next year, I may just try to create a poster and maybe say for so and so position. Maybe let's say for governor, for governorship election. I will not buy the form. It's just to create name and awareness for my own self, and I'll put maybe scientist Jesse Romeo Buba. You understand? So
Mm.
if we can engage ourselves into politics, like for the people that have been into the system or they are not into the system, that feel they have the money and also the relationship to venture into that system, it
Yeah.
will actually play a good role to help us, even in terms of um, the like law aspect. The how will I put it now? Yes. So we should try to venture into the political sector.
Sector.
Politics is actually good.
Yeah.
If we have a medical laboratory scientist, let's say in the house that is representing us, when they are passing out a bill that has to do with the Ministry of Health of that particular country, we will also have a say in that. So even when they are trying to talk about the structuring of salary scale, we will also fight for it. There
Yeah.
are more medical doctors in than we have in so far. I've not even seen any in my country. I've not seen any politician that maybe we have, but he has born his certificate or her certificate. I don't know, but I'm yet to see. But for medical doctors, couple of them. So if a medical laboratory scientists, please should try to involve themselves into politics as well.
Yeah.
That will actually give us, and that will also make us to be part of lawmaking, business, everything, so that everything will not just be done by a particular set of people.
That's definitely true. And what's the final opportunity, the last opportunity you had in mind?
Okay. Now, this is, I don't know whether we've heard of HCPC, Healthcare Professional Council. Now,
Mhm.
it's for in the United Kingdom. You need to have HCPC license for you to be able to work in the United Kingdom. Now, recently after the COVID, there were lots of opportunities for Nigerians in the United Kingdom and other parts of the country. But particularly, I want to talk about the United Kingdom
Mhm.
license. Now, as a scientist, wherever you are outside, you can try to process a license, help you that will allow you to work in United Kingdom. Most of us in Africa want to travel out, want to see places. We also want to participate advanced molecular research work.
Yeah.
ACPC is one of the opportunity for you if you're having any ambition of traveling out of the country. UK should be part of what you do.
Yeah.
Now, ACPC, for medical laboratory scientists, you don't need IELTS exams, you don't need TOEFL exams,
Oh, really?
GCC exams, you don't need it. What you need to do is just go into their website, just browse through your Chrome, ACPC, take the guidelines. What you do is go online, fill up the necessary thing. They will call you after some time where they will ask you if forward your documents. So after forwarding your documents, if you are okay and you feel your document meets up with their criteria or what they need, they will ask you to pay about the whole fee should cost about $650.
Okay.
So once you've been given go ahead to make that payment, just be rest assured that your license. So with that, you will be licensed as a medical laboratory scientist that can work in the United Kingdom. So what you do is just go online, apply for a job, even in their own site.
Mhm.
I'm not telling us this as a hearsay. I have three of my friends that are currently in UK. One left this year, two went last
Yeah.
year. So these are people that they've done it. It's not as if it's something that we've seen, it's a practical thing and it happened.
Yeah.
So once you go on LinkedIn, you can as well browse people, check out their profile, people who are HCPC licensed. You can as well ask them how things are being done and how it's going.
Yeah.
So this is another opportunity for us as medical laboratory scientists. If you feel your country is not actually helping you in some aspect, you're not actually learning, you can as well check out other countries.
That's true. So thanks a lot for sharing all of this. I think this is really information that lots of people will be interested in. And I think if ever you have a little bit more time, it would be nice to actually talk to you again about the research aspects and also like the HCPC aspects. Since you've done the research, maybe you can give us some extra details about how it happens to help interest more people in that particular area. Also, the HPC.
Absolutely a pleasure.
All right. It will be a pleasure for us too, because I believe lots of people will have learned a lot from listening to you and listening to this particular conversation. Now, do you have any final words for anyone that's listening?
Final words are this. I would like to encourage everyone listening to me, be you a med lab scientist or any other profession, that a medical laboratory scientist is not just limited to bench work. There are lots of opportunities out there. But one thing we need to do is to our best to whatsoever we are doing to actually give in our best. There's no shortcut in running any diagnostic test. If we are credible, whatever we do, I feel everybody will recognize you and you will actually show the attention of. But permit me to just share this. The research aspect that I earlier told you I was enrolled. It was not because I know someone, but it was because of credibility, someone of principle. When they said follow these guidelines and do this. Once I know this is it, there's no shortcut in running a particular. What I know that when I'm running my sample, I'm virtually careful. Let me not miss out any step. When they say 50 microliter, I'm very careful. Let it be that 50 microliter. Not that when we are trying to minimize reagent, they said, okay, 50 microliter of this reagent, you say, let me just use 25. Then this and that. So I would actually indulge every lab scientist to please live a credible life. Let's shy away from collection of money from patients, especially when you're working in a facility that is not your own, a government certified lab, where you see med lab scientists collecting money, 500, maybe 500 naira in our currency, and just for you to help that patient to run a particular test, money that we may not really use to buy fuel. We just use it to buy biscuit and that's all. So that is actually diminishing our value. If a med lab scientist can actually portray that, can actually shy away from all these corrupted kind of lifestyle in the health sector, hospital and everywhere, we will be placed as credible health workers and also will have respect from everybody, patients, pharmacy, nurses, doctors, and everyone will actually respect us for who we are and what we are doing.
Thanks a lot, Jesse, for these words. So, lab experts, you've heard it here. You need to make sure that your job you do it to the best of your capability, because that's what's going to allow people to actually trust you, to believe in you, and eventually to start thinking about raising your salary, probably, because if they see that you're doing an excellent job and then they know that if you leave they are going to have problems, then that's a plus for you. So we need to make sure that we always do our jobs the best way we can so that our futures can be brighter. Thanks a lot for spending the time with us today, Jesse, and hopefully we'll see you very soon. Thank you.